What up?
Hi.
How's it going, Shotty?
Going well. How are you doing today? Hi, everybody.
I'm good, no complaints. Um, uh, Thank you for joining me.
Thank you
Um,
for having me. So
this
happy
is
to be
my
here.
this is my 28th
Oh my
episode.
goodness. Number
Yeah,
28. Wow.
yeah.
That's a
So
big deal, Cam.
yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. Everybody's been super cool. Every story's been different and unique. So I know this is gonna be right along with everything else.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go ahead and jump into it. I just wanted to let you know as people jump in here and say, hey, where you feel it, you acknowledge people do what you do. It's free flowing over here. So
Awesome.
um,
Well, hey, everybody. Hey, Cousin B. Thank y'all for tuning in. We are here. I just left Atlanta hanging out with Cam doing some work. And
yep,
now we're back again this week
yep,
doing his show. So I'm happy to be here.
yes. Tell me about Wilson, please. Tell me about Wilson. What was it like for you growing up in Wilson, and specifically Wilson, North Carolina, for those of you all who are tuning in, and for me specifically, I would like to know how music was able to inspire you and the dream about pursuing music in Wilson.
Oh, okay. Well, Wilson, North Carolina is very small, super small. If you know anything about Eastern North Carolina, you know we are super duper country. I come from a town where it was only three high schools. Everybody knew each other. One Walmart, one movie theater. So I mean, I feel blessed to have come from a small town because it's very nurturing. I had a lot of family friends. I'm originally from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I moved to Wilson when I was 8 years old for my mom's job. So I had a close knit of family friends from church, from school, my mom's hairdresser and her family, so I have a lot of love and a lot of support and, just a lot of wonderful memories of my upbringing in Wilson. When I think of Wilson, I think about church and
Yeah,
sports and, just hanging out, riding around. I come from a time before, social media was like a huge thing. So we used to do a lot of like just riding around, go and hang at someone's house. Um, but that's just Wilson generally. Musically, I think about, high school and vocal ensemble and doing musical theater. We used to do things like Wicked and Les Miserables,
okay.
um, lots of different things. So I got a lot of wonderful training from my vocal coach in high school. Her name was Miss Powers. Shout out to Miss Powers. If you're from Wilson, you know Miss Powers. So shout out to her. And I'm just thankful. I got a lot of intricate training from, being in ensemble and being in chorus and singing at church too. So,
Yes.
yeah.
I saw that I was doing my research and watching another interview, or kind of like you were kind of presenting your story. You were talking about your mom being like a huge initial influence on you musically in terms of pursuing musically. Can you tell me a little bit more about her story and how she was an influence on you?
Sure. My mom is a powerhouse vocalist. Shout out to Gigi. She retired early. She got pregnant with me. And, she came from a time in the 80s and the early 90s as being like a young adult where a lot of her family members and friends put pressure on her to kind of give it up. Since I can remember, she has been just telling me to never allow people to tell you that you were too old to accomplish your dreams or to even go after them. She still is kind of like hung up on the idea that she stopped singing and stopped trying to pursue her goals at the age of 25.
Oh wow.
So for as long as I can remember, she's like, 25 ain't old, 30 ain't old, 35 ain't old. So, it's really stuck with me. And she's just been such supportive component and piece in me pursuing my dreams and just going after it. So a little bit about her in the 80s before I came along. She was in a cover band. It was called Ultrasonic. It was two vocalists, one being herself, and then the whole band, it was about 6 or 7 members. I have pictures. We don't have video, still wondering where we can find videos, but she has a lot of pictures with the band, and they toured. They did like 2 tours. They went to Germany, Korea. You know, she just tells me about her life and, you know, leaving college for a year to go on tour, and how inspiring and how fun it was. So just growing up and hearing those stories was also something that inspired me to, you know, just think about the idea of being a creative as a living and making money off of doing music and doing shows and having fun. So she's a phenomenal singer still. Even after Ultrasonic, she did small theater in Fayetteville. She did so many plays, and I was just so grateful to have been exposed to theater as a young kid, like at 3 or 4 years old. So I was around actresses and actors who also sang. So for me, I was just like, I felt like I was made for it, you know. And I just thank you, Mama. Thank
Oh,
you for
thanks,
all that
Mom.
you've done and helping me to be confident and to, you know, just continue, I guess, what she started.
That's what's up. So
Hmm.
let me. You mentioned the early '90s, so like early to mid '90s, musically speaking, right? It was just such a there was this big like infusion of like hip hop started to become an adolescent, let's say.
Hmm.
You know, it started, you know, middle school kids, they always get rambunctious. So if you, I think about hip hop in that way, like really trying to take over, and you know, the combination of that plus R&B and soul being fused together, I can imagine, you know, growing up or being a kid in that back seat of the car when you're getting taken somewhere or this or that, what's on the radio, especially with your mom being, you know, a vocalist and someone who has been around live music and instrumentation. So
Right.
um, I wanted to ask you about the influence of like the wave of hip hop soul that kind of was really made popular by like a Mary J, and
Hmm.
particularly maybe her influence on how you viewed your lane, let's say, musically speaking.
Well, I will say this. I don't remember a life without Mary J. Um, you know, like, what's the 411 and My Life, and you know, aside from Mary, it was groups like Total, it was SWV, you know, who were just so intriguing for me because they seemed to choose beats with drums, and it wasn't just about the vocal, it was about the feeling. And I think that's what hip hop soul provides into our Black culture is, you know, aside from let's just concentrate on the vocal, let's concentrate on the skill of the vocal. Let's put it all together and let's make a vibe, let's make a feeling, let's make something you can two-step to, and, you know, just party to, and, you know, all of that. TLC,
Mm,
you know, some of those, there were huge influences on me outside of the vocalists who influenced me, like Whitney and Shaka Khan. Not to say Shaka didn't have us moving now.
right.
It was just a different vibe in the mid 90s. So I was like 5 or 6 years old, you know, when all of this started to evolve. So it was just so beautiful for me to experience and see the growth and literally grow up during that time. My mom played Mary so much, and I think that had a heavy influence on me. You know, just going from the, you know, we come from a time when they listened to that album from top to bottom. So if it was on the radio, it was playing that CD, and it was just riding. You know, our parents, they come from a time you play that record, you just play the record.
Yeah.
So you know, I got a lot of that coming up, and I'm just so grateful for it. You don't even understand how important it is um, to be influenced and to grow it within that time until you get to where we are now. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, love me some
Yeah.
Mary, love me some
Yes.
Total,
Oh.
love me some Bounce, Feeling, all that good stuff. So
Oh wow. Um, so I thought this was interesting about your backstory. I went to a state school. I went to the University of Louisville for my first 2 years, and then I ended up transferring to Morehouse. So I went from the state institution type of thing into the HBCU fold. Shout out to all the HBCU folks tuning in. I wanted to ask
Yes.
you about your experience matriculating, because I read, or I discovered, that you went through a similar type of change from more of a state type of college environment into an HBCU environment. I wanted to ask you about that, when what that transition was like for you, socially or culturally.
Okay. So when you say state school, you mean like a PWI, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am from North Carolina. I decided to go to a PWI. It's called NC State. It's funny because I always wanted to go to an HBCU, and I'm gonna make this long story short. Okay. Um, Once upon a time, I had a guidance counselor who told me that I wasn't smart enough. She didn't say that verbatim, but I wasn't smart enough to make it into a school like NC State. Um, I felt so challenged, and I look back. I was 17, so I think that I chose to go to NC State for the wrong reasons. She put a little bit of anxiety into me, and me self-doubt, and made me feel like it wasn't something that I could do. So I applied anyway, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And guess who got in?
Yes.
Right? So I applied and I got in. I also applied to several HBCUs, including North Carolina Central, where I chose to transfer. And I just told myself, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. At the time, like I said, I'm from Eastern North Carolina. It had never crossed my mind that I could be a creative and be successful. So that wasn't something that I was thinking about as a 17-year-old prior to college. I had not been exposed to a lot of people. I hadn't been exposed to anybody doing anything creatively. I think we probably had just a couple people from Eastern North Carolina to make it. One of those including, I want to say his name is Miguel Nunez. Please don't quote me on his name, but he was a lead actor in Juwanna Mann.
Yeah.
So other than that, I didn't know anybody from where I was from that had done anything, music, movies, nothing. So I decided to go to NC State because I felt like, oh, I was good enough to get in. Let me give it a try. Let me see what happens. And in that time, I felt like I would be more successful having gotten a degree from North Carolina State, because that's what some of my elders, or people in my family, or even teachers had conditioned us as Blacks to believe. So now that I'm here, I know that I have that power to go back and help young Black children like myself make better decisions. If you want to go to a PWI, go to a PWI that's good for you and what major that you are interested in. Don't go just because somebody told you weren't going to be able to get in. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't go to prove a point. And if you are, completely interested in the HBCU from the jump, that's okay. Don't let nobody sway your opinion. Don't let nobody, tell you what you need to be doing based off their experience. I am so proud and prideful about having made the switch. I got NC State. I loved all the people. I made lots of wonderful relationships. I have a couple of close friends I'm still close to. There were professors and counselors who embraced me. One of my favorites was a gay Puerto Rican man, Mr. Morrell. He is amazing. I love him so much, and he is just such a prideful man, and as far as who he is and being confident in who you are, and learning his story and his struggles, that encouraged me to go ahead and transfer. Just being one of the reasons. But one of the main reasons I think that I decided to move, I wouldn't say I think, I know for sure, is I knew that I wanted to pursue music after having been at NC State for a year and a half, seriously. And it wasn't until that moment in time that I knew that it could be possible. Mm-hmm. And I went with my first choice, which was North Carolina Central, right up the road. I could still, be in touch with my friends I made at NC State. I could still see them. But it was like night and day. I went from, just walking to class and feeling like I was surrounded by literally thousands of white kids, and being in class with hundreds of people. As a 17, 18-year-old from Wilson, for me, it was too much. It was like overwhelming. I think I had a little bit of ADHD and didn't know it, couldn't concentrate. I was sleeping. The professors were just kind of, from my experience, this is not everybody's experience, but from my experience, I didn't feel embraced. I didn't feel cared for. I didn't, not that they owed that to me, but I didn't know the difference between the two until I went to Central. And, you go from being in general ed classes with hundreds of people to going to HBCU and feeling like you're in high school again, but on another level. You're grown now. So your teacher's not going to baby you, but you know the difference between someone who wants to see you win and someone who wants to help you do better, and someone who just doesn't care. So, generally that was my experience. I felt embraced. My counselor at Central made my transition that much easier. Central is known for its prestigious music department. And also at the time, one of the electives that I decided to take and had heard about over at NC State was a history hip hop class, which was taught by Ninth Wonder and at the time Play Martin. It was like word on the street. It was like a thing. You can ask anybody from North Carolina, like back in 2009 and 2010, it was kind of a new class and it was very popular. And I went from being at NC State and feeling like outcast and not knowing if I would even finish college to going to Central and walking into that elective class and having Ninth teach me about samples and hip hop and what songs that they had turned into, or, teaching me about soul samples and funk music and the Commodores and the Jay-Z's and, everything. I always was interested in rap and listening to rap, but I never learned so much about the history of hip hop until I was able to take Ninth class. So that's the long version of the transition.
Well, I love it though, because you're talking
so
about.
glad I made that choice. I was at NC State for a year and a half, by the way. Okay. So I finished other half of my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year over at North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride, in case you didn't hear me the first 10 times.
I think that's so cool though, because there are a lot of people who don't really emphasize the value of learning about the music that's behind what it is that you already like. So the fact that Hiphop Soul was something that influenced you early on, but then there was another opportunity for you to dive deeper into that as a young adult and really get a deeper understanding of where some of the things you already liked came from. It's just that's a significant part of our history. It's in our music. It's in what we do. And it's like, to be an artist and to pursue it and not have an understanding of some type of historical value of the music you're trying to do. It's just kind of like you said, you're not going in with all your, with all your tools, with all your artillery or whatever. So I love that, because a lot of people kind of put learning and the education side of music to the side. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Let me ask you about Jamla, because for me, when I look at y'all, it's like everybody's got a position, It's like everybody's got a place. It's so rare for that type of harmony to exist. And every time I see y'all, it's like one person's helping the other, was helping the other, was helping the other. So it's uplifting from that perspective. I wanted to ask you about how that's been for you over the course of your time there, in terms of how you've grown as an artist from being involved in that collective.
Oh man, I have been with the squad since 2010. When I met Ninth and E. Jones, I was 19. I had only recorded 2 songs. I had always done writing. I started off doing poetry in 7th grade. I had a notebook. Um, and I got interested in actually doing songs probably around 18. Up until then, I just liked to sing. You know what I'm saying? I learned how to read music. I sang at church. And like I said, until I got to college, I never even saw myself having the opportunity to grow as an artist. Only reason I had recorded music in the first place was because I just happened to be at somebody's studio and they was like, man, you need to stop playing and go ahead and like lay some shit down. And I was like, for real? Should I? You know what I'm saying? So it just kind of happened. And in meeting Nathan Jones, I really just had my demos and I asked them, you know, for their opinions on what my sound was and what direction I should go. And that, you know, I didn't even see it happening or coming, but they ended up asking me to be a part of the label. And that was in 2010. I have grown tremendously, in my opinion. And I still have a lot of growing to do. But having that family unit, having a team is a blessing. And I would just say that we've all been growing together. I did 3 projects between 2010 and 2011. I ain't had no bills. I had no responsibilities. So I was just on go. I think I was doing maybe 2 or 3 songs every couple of days, writing 2 or 3 songs a day. I am still hungry, but, you know, just put me in a place where I set a pretty good foundation for myself as an artist at the time. And there was a gap for me when I finished college at 23. I tell this story all the time. You know, sometimes when you finish college, you have a conflict within yourself and trying to figure out your identity, where you belong, how you're going to take care of yourself. How can I be a creative and be successful in providing for myself? I had an opportunity to move home with my mom. I was stubborn. I did not want to go home. I didn't want to sacrifice my freedom. My priorities were out of order. I had family members who told me doing music was stupid. You won't make no money. You're not going to go nowhere. Simply because they had never had anybody close to them to make it. They had never had anybody close to them with my work ethic, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just had to go through that time. It was a battle with myself. For about 2 or 3 years, I worked full time. I never stopped making music. We didn't release projects because that was a huge developmental stage for me. And I think that it's really important that artists take their time to surround themselves with good people who support you in, you know, just your ups and downs of life outside of music. Especially in your mid-20s, it's a lot of trying to figure out where I want to go, how I want to do it, what do I want this to look like. So, you know, I'm so grateful to have had a supportive team to support me through those years, and being confused, you know what I'm saying? Trying to figure out what content I want to talk about, you know, and a lot of that came out on my last project, which is Boutique Hotel. Ups and downs of life, you know, learning the value of self-care, learning to love yourself first and walk away from people who are discouraging you from being who you're destined to be. Learning how to sacrifice, like exponentially, literally, you know, in 2016, I believe 2016, it was June of 2016, I got laid off from my full-time job. And that was my first time in 3 or 4 years that I had not worked full time. You know what I'm saying? I had my own place. I lived by myself. I was comfortable. My lifestyle, you know, I felt real grown woman, real independent, right? And then it was like, you know what? God was like, you're real comfortable over there, but you're real cute, but you're not getting shit done. You're not really moving. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow, this is the part where I have to make those sacrifices that I've been afraid to make. You know what I'm saying? So I had to give up my lifestyle. I moved home, my mom. Went through a little bit of depression unconsciously. I was at a place where, for the first time, like I said, I didn't have a full-time income. So it was like really a hard time for me. But, you stay down and then you get back up and you figure it out. And I took that energy of being, kind of like lost in the sauce, I guess you could say, and I just put it in a booth. For the first time, I wasn't at work from 9 to 5. And listen, I'm not discouraging working full time because listen, we got to do what we got to do. But everybody's life pace is different along the journey of, your career. So if you need to go to work, do what you need to do. I have, in this time started a small business. I have worked part-time. There's never been a time where I haven't tried to hustle, but it's just, you got to take those same 8 hours. If you want to try and give it a try and not work full time just for 6 months, 2 months, 1 year, you just got to turn your hustle up and you got to use those 8 hours that you was at the company and put it into yourself. And it's almost like you never stop working. It's 8 days a week. It's 25 hours a day. It's a lot of not cuteness. It's a lot of not getting sleep. It's a lot of sometimes missing meals, and it's messed up, but it's true. But it's all been worth the sacrifice. As soon as I let my guard down and gave myself a chance, doors start opening. I got hired to be on a series called Shots Fired, starring Sanaa Lathan. I was asked as a choir member alongside of Sunshine Anderson and the Hamiltons, also Caitlin Nickel.
Nice.
And that was really, really inspiring for me to keep going. That was 2017. It was a really great experience. We recorded in the studio together and we were on set together for like, I want to say it was like 2 or 3 weekends over 3 months of time or something like that. But that was my first time being on set. And I met a music supervisor from LA who, just encouraged me to keep going and, just telling me that I had something special. So I'm getting away from the question.
No,
Going back to Jamla.
Right.
I am, just to circle back to my team, Ninth, our CEOs, is one of the greatest leaders that we have and one of the most wonderful producers and most talented. And he's just been an outstanding leader for our team. Shout out to Ninth. Cash, our label manager. I don't know what I would do without him. He is the no man of the team. And I think that everybody needs a no man. I think everyone needs to hear the truth. I think that every artist needs to hear when you need to do something again, when your song is whack, when it's good, and even when it is good, you need somebody that's going to, just keep you humble, basically. So he's been a key component in my growth as well. Tia, our product manager and vice president, she's been such a huge part in supporting me, managing me and helping me out along the way. All of our artists, Rhapsody, Q, Ruben, Swank Draft, all of our producers, everybody is just one of one and such a huge piece in our puzzle. And I think that we get along so well and we do so well together as a team because we leave our egos at the door. Everybody loves to work. Everybody loves to create. I think we would all be making music if we didn't get paid. You know what I'm saying? It's something that we love to do. And most importantly, like I said, ego at the door.
Yeah.
That ego will check you out of this game fast in a hurry. It don't matter how much talent you got. If you have ego, if you think that everything is supposed to happen just like that, if you don't have, serious drive and work ethic and patience, it ain't gonna work. And that's just those are all things that I've learned over time in dealing with my team. And we still out here, baby. We independent.
Love it.
and we making it happen. It's been 10 years. I just look forward to the next decade of, taking this journey and just taking it as far as we can. I think the slow process is the best process, especially for a career. You think about career, you want to think 20 and 30 years, not 2 years and 5 years. So it makes sense that it's been taking us this long to get to where we are. But I am so proud of everybody, and we still humble. We got time, you
Yeah.
know. So
Yeah. Love it. I was listening to your first project, well, the Victoria's Secret project. And I was listening to a particular record on there during the course of listening to your other music, the record "I'll Always Be Down" with
mm,
Rhapsody. And I
mm-hmm,
wanted to ask you about that relationship
mm-hmm,
because you all have been a part of each other's work consistently over the time that you've been working. And I wanted to ask you kind of what that chemistry has been like for you,
mm-hmm,
especially in an industry like ours where a lot of times women can be marginalized and women can have the cards stacked against them.
mm-hmm.
How has it been working with her and what's been the key to that chemistry?
Oh man, working with rap has been a lot of fun. That's big sis. We've known each other for over 10 years. We're both from Eastern North Carolina. She's from Snow Hill, so when we met, we just automatically connected on that level. Everybody from the 2-5 kind of got this one little accent, you know what I'm saying? And from then on, we just always click. We both goofy. We both love to have fun. We both love to laugh. So, with me and rap, it ain't just we in the booth working all the time. Like, we really have a sisterhood type of relationship. She provides and has provided wonderful advice over the years. She's been doing it longer than me. Um, so she's always had wonderful advice, which includes being the captain of your own ship, um, and just staying in the booth, keep working. Be patient with yourself. Don't get big headed, and allow your process to be your process. So those are some of the things that stick out when I think about some of the advice that she's given to me. But me and rap, we've been having fun. It's been 10 years. It don't even feel like it. Like it feel
Yeah.
like we were just kids. We've been through it all. A3C, touring. Um, you know, my first tour with her recently was my first national tour. But over the years, we've done shows. We've done New York and DC and Atlanta, LA. Her and I went to Miami for Art Basel one year. We sisters for real. Like,
Yeah.
everything ain't always sweet.
Yes.
But I would say 95% of the time we laughing, we playing around, and we having fun outside of the studio.
Love it.
When
Yeah.
it's time to work, it's time to work.
Yeah.
But overall, she's just been a huge inspiration for me, and she's such a hard worker. She's so focused, um, and she executes. She don't play around. So, on some big sister tip,
Yeah.
thank you, rap. Love you, girl. Let's keep riding. Y'all go get that project too, Eve.
Yeah.
Out everywhere. Jamla Records. You know what time it is.
Well, listen, let's talk about your songwriting. You mentioned it earlier, but I want to emphasize your songwriting because we're in an industry that does not necessarily promote and encourage female artists to write and to really be, in control of what type of message they're giving out. A lot of times, female artists are just being dictated to in many ways, and particularly in what they have to end up delivering. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say that your writing, I mean, just having witnessed it the other day, you're sure about yourself. You know what it is that you need in order to be able to get in your bag. And I could tell that you've developed that. So I wanted to ask you about songwriting in terms of your creative process. And then also if you could tuck in a little bit of advice for aspiring female artists that want to be able to write, but either might not be there yet, or that, you know, they don't know necessarily how to get started with that process?
Sure. Well, my process for songwriting has always been just figure out what your concept is, what we talking about. And then I'd like to get with the beat. I like to vibe and play it loud and just, you know, get my phone and I have my voice notes and my voice memos and whatever comes to me melody wise, I lay it down. Even if it's in parts, I just lay it down and then I'll go back through and figure out how I want to arrange the words, how I want to say it, you know, how do I want to say this word? Um, you know, it's a process. Sometimes the words come first. Sometimes the melody comes first. So I think it's one of those things that it depends on the vibe of the beat. It depends on what's on your mind, what you might be inspired by in the moment. So my best advice would be to just let it flow and to be yourself, to stay in your lane. If you are in a process where you're creating a project or you're creating a song, try not to listen to a lot of other people's music. Try to kind of get inside of what your box is. And if you don't know what that is yet, you can listen to other music kind of just to have an idea of what it is you're looking to be inspired by. But once you come to that point, I would encourage you to try to figure out who you are as an artist. You know, a lot of times people ask me, well, who do you sound like? And a lot of times I don't think I sound like anybody. I think, you know, vocally, I think that I am who I am, and I have been inspired by different artists. But I think it's a fair answer to just be yourself and to figure out what your sound is. You know, a lot of people say, you the next this, you the next that, or you sound like them, or you sound, you know, I think we could do a better job as a culture with just allowing people to be the next them. You know what I'm saying? So it's a process for me still. Even having been doing this 10 years, it's still a process. I go through times where it doesn't come easy. You know, writer's block is real. So when that happens, I like to change my scenery. That's not the best solution for everybody, but I'll go to the beach. I'll get outside of what my normal four walls has been. I might watch movies, spend some time with family. You know, sometimes when you spend time with family, they might have a random story that can turn into a song. So, you know, it just depends on the day, depends on the beat, it depends on the situation, whatever you're feeling. I would just say get you a notebook. Get you a real notebook. I know we got phones now, but get you some pen and paper and cut your phone off. Turn that social media off. Get somewhere like an incense. You know, indulge a little bit if that's your thing. And just groove and just vibe and let the words come to you. Let the melodies come to you. You'll be surprised at what you can get done when you get rid of the distractions. So yeah, writers, y'all keep writing. Singers, y'all keep creating. Everybody, producers, let's just keep doing our thing. We ain't got nothing but time, right?
Right. Facts. Okay, fast forward a
Hey,
little bit.
Felicia, by the way.
What
Hi,
up, Felicia?
hey, everybody. Thank y'all for coming.
Yes, thank y'all for tuning in. It's been a great conversation thus far. A lot of good insight that I hope people are you know, kind of making some mental notes of, or other notes. You know, people, it's all good to take notes. Ain't nothing wrong with taking notes, so you can have it and refer back to it. You know what I'm saying? So let's fast forward to Boutique Hotel.
Okay.
You know, I was listening to it and I just I love drums, you know what I'm saying? And I could just feel there's a pulse to everything, you know what I'm saying? There's a vibe to everything. You know, what you have described your sound to be, I felt that coming through that project. So shout out to you and the whole crew, Soul Council, everybody who was involved in that. because I thought it was dope. I thought it was cool that there were some subtleties that reminded me of hip hop, some classic hip hop. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like
Yeah.
the one love joint. I'm like, oh,
The
you know,
Nas sample.
yeah. I'm
Yep.
just like, yo, it just made my heart feel good. You know what I'm saying? But it was a flip though, you know, a true flip.
A true
So
flip.
you know what I'm
Yep.
saying? So I really was like, yo, they doing their daggone thing. So I
Hmm.
wanted to ask you about the process of putting that project together and just, you know, what went into, you know, the concept.
Sure. First of all, hey Amber. Thank you for tuning in. Amber is in the house.
What up, Amber?
Um, Boutique Hotel. Wow. It started off with Japan. Um, we knew that we wanted to incorporate instruments into this project. So we were just vibing. I had a writer come in town and help me out a little bit. I wrote some of Boutique Hotel, have writers as well that helped me. So at the time, I had a writer in town and had some of my guys on, you know, the instruments in the other room at the studio. So all of the tracks started off as tracks except for Japan,
Okay.
ironically. Japan started off with just one guitar lick by my boy Russell. And they literally was just shedding in the other room and came up with the vibe and the literal instrumental that you hear on Japan. Crisis got in there, our producer. He started messing around with the mix, and then we just came up with the melody. My homegirl helped me write the song. It was just, oh my God, it was just so organic. And in that moment, we knew that we wanted to make the whole project feel like that. So every song except I think Sunbeams, have to double
Okay.
check, has live instrumentation. And it was just such a wonderful experience because we recorded the songs and then we had that took about 4 or 5 or so months. Then we took a break, and then we had the instruments come in for months at a time to just play it all the way through, you know, from the top to the bottom. And we took our time with it. The whole project, it probably took me about a year and a half with the help of the Soul Council, which is our production team, Ninth and Jones, Cash, Crisis, everybody, even if they didn't make the beat on the project, everybody had their hand in this project. Whether it was overseeing something, arranging something, you know, the mixing. Shout out to MBs and Crisis on the mixing. The mixing was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a good project and it's no skips. I've heard it
No
from several
skips.
people, so I'm claiming it now. It's no skips. It's like a long story. You know, I wanted boutique hotel to feel like a destination, a getaway. You know, it starts with Japan. Let's get away to Japan. Let's leave our worries at home. And then, you know, we go into songs like One Love, which touches back into me loving myself and embracing myself and not allowing others, toxic situations, family members, anybody hold me back from what I want to do.
Mm.
Sunbeams, uplifting Black women, young Black girls. Didn't you know is me looking in the mirror and talking to myself and saying, didn't you know that you don't have to deal with the bullshit?
Mm.
Didn't you know that you can love yourself and give a middle finger to everybody else? And it's okay to be alone. It does get lonely. Um, but relationships wise, I always was tied down in my 20s to the wrong people. Um, um, and that's nothing to be ashamed about. You know what I'm saying? I feel like when you grow as a human, you have that power to decide what you want to stay in your life and what you don't want to stay in your life. Who gets to stay around and who doesn't. And when people mistreat you, when people are insecure and they make you feel bad about your decisions that you made upon your life personally, then it's just time for them to go. And that's not something that I was able to figure out almost like immediately. It was something that came with time. So a lot of that was discussed on the album as well. That's right. Unique one. You live and you learn, and it's so true. It's so true. So, Boutique Hotel is, aside from the music, which is my favorite part, because we got keys, we got sax, we got
Yeah.
drums, we got bass, live drums, by the way, not the beat machine, live drums. Shout out to John. Um, Shout out to Duran. I'm gonna just shout everybody out. Duran on the sax, Soul on the keys, Russell on guitar, Crisis. Um, y'all are just amazing. Just stupid. Uh, but anyway, the album is it's just like a prelude for what's to come. A lot of that was discussing my life from ages like 26 to 29. I'm 30, and a lot has changed since we put out the project, even last year. So it's like, I think I'm in a place where I'm ready to talk about some more things. And I'm kind of over having dealt with the heartbreak and the confusion of what love means to me. Now I'm in a place where I know what it means to me. I know what I want. There's clarity here. You know what I'm saying? I can talk about being petty and like leaving somebody alone versus being sad. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So I'm looking forward to the next project coming up. But in the meantime, y'all please keep listening to Boutique Hotel. It's a good vibe. You can cook to it. You can get grown to it, if you know what I mean. Indulge to it, whatever you want to do. It's a feel good album, and I just want it to be something that is a classic and, that still has legs and has time to grow. We put it out in October, just went on a tour. I feel like going on a tour helped, push it a little bit and expose. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Being on the tour, I hope that it exposed my artistry to lots and lots of more fans.
Yeah.
I met so many people on the road, and they were new to the music. They were like, when this come out?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like we live in this time where everything got to be so fast and so instant. And it's not an instant album. It didn't happen instantly. It took us a year and a half. And I feel like because it was that organic and, we put some time into it, I think that makes it even more valuable in having growing legs and like, having room to grow. So
Yeah.
that's all. That's it. That's all.
I always say good music has no expiration date. You know what I'm
I
saying?
love
Like
that.
there
That's
are
so
people
true.
who there are people who are out here who have not heard Boutique Hotel. I'm recommending it. I'm highly recommending it. I'm a musical snob. You know what I'm saying? I'm bougie when it comes to this music type thing. So
Yeah.
I'll put that on everything. Please go check that record out. It's dope. Never
Thank
felt
you.
it's my jam too. You know
Oh
what I'm
yeah, that's
saying?
my joint. Shout out to Knife. He flipped
Yeah.
the mess out of Brian McKnight's Never Felt, the ballad. We
Hmm.
turned it into a two-stepper. So go on and check that out. Hope you guys enjoy it. And I
Yes.
appreciate your cosign, Cam.
No problem. No problem. I wanted to, within these last like few minutes that we have, I wanted to kind of just ask you, what does hip hop soul look like for 2020 and 2021 as it relates to Heather Victoria? And then I wanted you to give some, impart some words on the people who've been tuning in before we sign out of here.
Awesome. What does hip hop soul in 2020 look like? For me, it's a hybrid of soul, jazz, hip hop, and R&B. Um, when I think about the type of hip hop soul that I love listening to and creating, recently there was a project called Dinner Party, put together by Knife Wonder, Terrace Martin, Kawati Washington, and Robert Glasper. Um, it is amazing. First of all, listen to it. Just listen to it, top to bottom. It just feels good. It's bouncy. It's jazzy. It's feel good. Um, yeah, that's something that it's if I could think of anything currently that makes me feel like we are moving in a wonderful direction, it's that project. So shout out to Dinner Party. And, you know, I just hope that I can continue to grow as a hip hop soul artist, and prayerfully I can be a household name one day. You know, I aspire to go big. I want to continue to do my thing. I want to tour, not just here in the U.S., internationally. I want to get to Africa. I want to get down to South Africa. I want to get to Japan in real life. I want to get to London. And I tell people all the time, I think about the 90s, I think about the 80s, I think about even a little bit of the early 2000s. R&B was dominating. Hip hop soul was dominating. And I think we got to a place, unfortunately, where a lot of the major labels don't see the value in a lot of the black music unless it's hip hop. But there's just so much value in hip hop, soul, and R&B as well. We deserve to have, you know, be invested in. We deserve to be believed in the 90s, there were like 10 women at one time charting. So all we need is artists like myself to believe in that being something that can continue, and continuing to push the value of our music, because we really never left. You know what I'm saying? You think about neo soul, it never left. It just stopped being amplified. So I feel like this is a transition in time. We are in a new decade, and black music ain't going nowhere. So I just am going to continue to create with my team and with people who love and appreciate and value black music and R&B and hip hop soul. And I think by doing so, even if it's just independently, we can and will continue to eat off of our music, continue to travel. And as long as our fans support us, that's all the love that we need.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, listen, I appreciate you for rocking with me. For y'all that don't know, Heather and I are working on a flip right now. It's jamming. It's jamming on the 1 and the 2. So
Can't
I'm
wait till
just
y'all
throwing.
hear it.
Listen, I'm just throwing that out there. That junk is hitting. So you know, expect even more great things from Heather. I really love your spirit. I love your authenticity. You know what I'm saying? You keep it real, like 1,000%. And I think once you get to the point where people start knowing your name and you're on tour and everything, it becomes easy to get lost in that type of sauce too, the Hollywood sauce. You know what
That's
I'm saying?
right.
You
Gotta be
still keeping
careful.
it, you still keeping it East North Carolina on them, and I
Southern
love
girl
that.
all day
You know what I'm
long.
saying? So I again I appreciate you. I'm gonna put some clips of this because there've been a lot of good little sound bites. So I'm gonna make sure I share that with everybody. And again, you know, thank you. And I'll be hitting you up offline, of course, because we got work to do. You feel me?
Yes, we got work to do. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Cam, for having me on your wonderful show. I wish you all the success with your show and your music coming up. Can't wait for y'all to hear what we've been working on. And shout out to y'all. Y'all continue to be safe and be loved. And please check out the project, Boutique Hotel, all
Yes.
streaming platforms.
Cool. All right. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
See?